Erica Sloane, who is now President of the United States, sends Ethan Hunt a secret message, which is shown at the beginning of the movie. Gabriel and the entity are still on the run because the entity has now hacked into internet and changed information to make people hate each other. A church of the end of the world based on the entity has even been formed. To stop the entity, you must find its original source code and match it with the cruciform key that Ethan was able to hide from Gabriel. Ethan is afraid that the government would use the entity against other countries if they got their hands on it. Sloane tells Ethan that killing the entity would destroy all of cyberspace and start a new war around the world. Before the message destroys itself, she begs Ethan to give up. Before traveling to an Austrian prison to free Paris, Gabriel's former accomplice, Ethan gets back together with Benji and Luther. Agents Theo Degas and Jasper Briggs are escorting her until Benji and Ethan break into the prison. After a brief altercation with the two agents, Ethan persuades Jasper and Degas to allow them to kidnap her in order to stop the entity. The group visits the American Embassy in London. When Grace arrives and pickpockets their belongings, two other agents who had been about to turn Ethan in are forced to release him. She informs Ethan that Kittredge sent her to look for him. Two of Gabriel's thugs appear out of nowhere and put the two to sleep. Gabriel greets Ethan and Grace as they awaken with their hands bound. He mentions Ethan's goal in obtaining the rabbit's foot and how, in essence, it was an early edition of the entity that Ethan gave to the US government. Ethan and Grace are aware that Gabriel has been abandoned by the entity because he was unable to obtain the key in the past. Ethan is given the task by Gabriel to locate the rabbit's foot from the sunk Sevastopol submarine. Since Ethan is aware that Gabriel needs him to survive, he then makes a cyanide cap. Gabriel tells his goons to resuscitate Ethan as he slips away after biting down on it and becoming foamy at the mouth. After being set free, Ethan murders the thugs and beats them up before releasing Grace and running away. Benji, Paris, and Degas are encountered by Ethan and Grace. They discover a sizable gadget that Gabriel uses to speak with the entity. Ethan enters and connects so he may communicate with the AI as well. The entity is aware that Ethan intends to destroy it by linking it to the Podkova, the entity's central module, and utilizing a poison pill that Luther created. It gives Ethan nuclear war visions and asks him to assist in transporting it to South Africa's Doomsday Vault, which includes a server room where it might be able to survive. To get the coordinates to the Sevastopol's location, Ethan separates from the group. He thinks Gabriel is after him since he told Ethan that someone close to him would die, so he runs on foot to find Luther. In addition to obtaining the poison pill, Gabriel has abducted Luther from the hospital where he was and buried him underground with a bomb. Luther makes an effort to keep it from getting too close, but if it goes off, the entire city could be destroyed. Before Ethan flees and Luther is killed in the resulting explosion, they have one last moment together. When Jasper discovers Ethan on the streets, he gives him the key and himself. Back in the United States on an aircraft, Ethan discloses that he was aware that Jasper's true name was Jim Phelps, Jr., and that he was the son of an IMF agent and former mentor who had deceived him and his teammates before Ethan killed him. Even though Ethan is aware that the entity is trying to turn Jasper against him, Jasper says they will deal with each other in the end. Kittredge greets Ethan and tells him that just a small number of nuclear arsenals remain secure, as the entity has already started breaking into some of them worldwide. Ethan is taken to see General Sidney and the other Joint Chiefs of Staff. They go over Ethan's notorious antics, including his escape from the Kremlin blast and his break-in at a CIA vault. When Sloane shows up, she tells Ethan that she wants him to assist them in controlling the entity, but he doesn't think anyone can manage such a weapon alone. Ethan threatens to launch a full-scale nuclear strike within 72 hours unless she lets him work alone to find the Sevastopol. Admiral Neely meets with Ethan aboard a carrier in the Northern Pacific. He gives her an envelope that Sloane gave him, which has the date May 22, 1996. Neely is aware that it's because she and Sloane both lost a loved one while serving in Siberia on that particular date. Reluctantly, she assists Ethan in getting to the Bering Sea, where the IMF team will meet him at a precise time and location above the ice caps. William Donlow, who was moved from the CIA after Ethan's vault break-in, is the host of Benji, Grace, Paris, and aghast when they arrive on St. Matthew's Island. Donlo and his spouse, Tepeza, reside together. When Benji meets Donlo, he can't help but geek out despite his best efforts to hide it, which makes Grace reveal why they are looking for him. Even though Donlo is aware that they are interacting with the entity, he is aware of the Sevastopol's coordinates. A group of Russian mercenaries who are already in Donlo's home and are searching for the Sevastopol are complicating things. Donlo's house burns down, but the team assists in retaliating against the Russians in a gunfight. He and Tepeza are able to leave the area. After being abandoned in the Bering Sea, Ethan meets up with a group of people under the leadership of Captain Bledsoe. One of the team members, Hagar, is exposed as an acolyte of the entity and attempts to murder Ethan as he gets ready to go under the water. They battle until Kodiak, another team member, knocks Hagar unconscious. After arriving at the coordinates, the sub-team drops Ethan off in the waters while wearing their own suit. The bodies of crew members who weren't sucked out of the sub when it was struck are discovered by him as he enters the Sevastopol. The sub has begun to descend more down the continental shift after Ethan tilted it, but he still finds the Podkova. Ethan rips off his suit to escape, but as he hits the ice caps, exactly where the squad was supposed to find him, he begins to drown. Grace pulls him out of the water. Ethan returns to the crew after being resurrected in a decompression chamber. He apologizes to Donlo for causing his relocation to the Arctic, but Donlo claims he has no regrets because that's where he found Tepeza. After connecting the poison pill to the Podkova, the crew talks about their plan to upload the entity on a physical drive. The difficult thing is that they need to accomplish it at the right time, neither too early nor too late. Ethan expects Gabriel to be at the Doomsday Vault already, expecting them to turn over the Podkova to him so he can take control of the entity. Additionally, Ethan gives Grace the task of uploading. Since the entity is aiming for multiple large cities in the United States, Sloane and her cabinet are talking about backup plans. They propose that, in order to save the lives of billions, a city of Sloane could be purposefully nuked. After deciding on a city, Sloane is ready to fire the bomb until she decides to shut down all American nuclear weapons in order to deny the entity access to their stockpile. Sydney takes the shot and kills the acolyte before he dies from his wound after another secret acolyte tries to shoot Sloane. The cabinet as a whole obeys Sloane's directives. The group descends to the vault, where Gabriel, Jasper, and Kittredge await them. Gabriel has set off a massive nuclear weapon in the center of the area, which will detonate in 20 minutes. In order for the United States to control the entity, Kittredge intends to kidnap Podkova and the poison pill. However, a gunfight breaks out, giving Gabriel the opportunity to escape with the poison pill. While Benji, Grace, and Paris manage to enter the server room and finish the upload, Ethan pursues him. As Benji leads Grace through the upload procedure, he is shot and needs emergency surgery from Paris, who saves his life. To disarm the nuke, Donlo, Tepeza, and Degas remain behind. Ethan hooks himself onto a passing plane, while Gabriel escapes in a biplane. Ethan pursues Gabriel and engages him in a dogfight after eliminating the pilot. Ethan hops onto Gabriel's plane after he eventually succeeds in making Ethan's plane malfunction. He swallows the poison pill after knocking Gabriel unconscious. Gabriel is left hanging after Ethan unbuckles his seatbelt. Before letting go, Gabriel chuckles and boasts about being the only one with a parachute, and immediately slamming his cranium against the plane's rudder, groin first, before crashing to the ground below. Another parachute that Ethan tries to set up flames up in the air. Ethan keeps falling, but he connects Podkova with the poison pill. Grace successfully finishes the upload at the ideal moment, permanently confining the entity. Degas, Tepeza, and Donlo deactivate the device and make it out of the blast before it happens. A backup parachute saves Ethan. The final message from Luther, who knew that Ethan would go to any lengths to rescue the world, is then played on the poison pill. He bids Ethan farewell and recites the IMF's pledge, which states, "We live and die in the shadows, for those we hold close, and those we never meet." Kittredge and Jasper find Ethan. Jasper seems to have forgiven Ethan for what transpired with his father, and they part ways amicably. Although Kittredge is irritated to see the fried Podkova, the IMF team convenes in London, although they are all separated by distance. To give Ethan the entity in its drive, Grace goes up to him. Before they part ways and once more disappear into the shadows, Ethan exchanges glances with Benji, Paris, and Grace. This is the end of our episode today. If you like our channel's content, please support us with a like and subscription to the channel. Until we meet again.